I love this quote by Dietrich Bonhoeffer because he says, nothing that is so little feared, nothing is so little feared, is so destructive as gossip. It undermines the community of faith that we're in, the church, and poisons relationships. When it says, do all things without murmurings, it's not a request, it's a command. It's written in the imperative. And so Oswald Chambers, and this is our key thought for this point, he says, complaining means that the devil has succeeded in making us think that God is not being just. Like, God, if you were really good, God, if you really cared, then you wouldn't have let them say that. Then you wouldn't have allowed them to do that. And so really our complaints are against God. And by the way, when the murmurings were happening in the wilderness with the children of Israel in Exodus chapter 16, Moses made it very clear. Listen, you're murmuring against me. He says, but the Lord hears your murmurings, which you murmur against him. And he says, your murmurings are not against us, they're against the Lord. Deuteronomy 1 and verse 27, he says it a little bit differently. He says, you murmur in your tents, Moses said, because the Lord hated us and has brought us out of the land of Egypt to deliver us under the hand of the Amorites and destroy us. Listen, God wasn't destroying them, he was freeing them, but they didn't like how he was doing it, and so they were complaining against the Lord. Now, there's two reasons we complain in gossip, and the first is pride. That's tearing others down to lift ourselves up. And then there's distrust, and ultimately it's a distrust in God. It's refusing to rest in God's sovereignty, that God can take care of them better than I can take care of them. And so what a gossip and a complaining spirit does is it says, I'm going to hold you accountable because God didn't. Listen, if I'm the one holding you accountable, then I am on the hook. You know the Bible verse, I have to remind myself of this all the time, where it says, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. My last name is Mord, and sometimes I want to put the M in there. Vengeance is mine, saith the Mord. Like, I'm going to take care of this. I'm going to hold them accountable. Like I'm the one. And when you do that, you're not resting in the sovereignty of God. And so all of us have to make a decision. Are we going to be filled with pride and distrust and complain and gossip? Or are we going to rest in God's purpose and plan and allow this complaining spirit to be something that we confront daily to say, I'm not going to live my life that way. Now, beside the spiritual reasons for complaining, there's some practical ones. It's annoying. And I believe that God has placed a little bird in New Zealand to teach us this lesson. In fact, I don't know if there's another purpose for this bird. It's the kiwi. You may have studied the kiwi. The kiwi bird does not have wings, does not have hands or arms. The kiwi bird eats and complains. That's all it does. Eats and complains. This is what it looks like. You can only find these out at night when they're eating. This is a real bird. Listen to that bird. Honestly, this bird sounds like some Christians I've met. They don't have any arms. They don't want to do anything. They just want to complain. They want to cry. Can I tell you? Listen, this is the outflow of a spirit that's expectant and not thankful. And so 1 Thessalonians 5:18 says, in everything give thanks. What does it say to do? Everything give thanks. For this is the will of God. This is God's will for you concerning Christ Jesus, that you give thanks. And then it says in verse 19, quench not the spirit. The biggest reason that I should be thankful, the biggest reason that I should stop myself from complaining or talking about others in a negative way is because it quenches the spirit. It does not please God.